Harry and Meghan have been bumped down the pecking order when you go to the website.
It's a hilarious story. Apparently, palace officials have been trying their hardest to strip Harry of his titles.
Something shook Buckingham Palace to its core. Something Meghan Markle never imagined could happen. A sudden order, quiet, discreet, but with explosive consequences. It didn't come through a press release or a dramatic announcement. No, this was a private message, delivered quietly through senior aides and royal staff, but when it leaked, the whole palace froze. According to insiders, King Charles has now issued a strict new restriction that directly limits Meghan's public appearances, her visibility, and even her ability to attach herself to royal-related events. And when Meghan found out, she lost it. Sources close to the palace say her reaction was instant, furious phone calls, panic texts, and emotional outbursts so intense that even people inside Montecito didn't know how to handle her. This wasn't a small misunderstanding or some royal housekeeping rule. This was personal, pointed, and aimed directly at her.
They are dependent on each other, though.
Yeah,
totally. Well, that's what you said, Jack.
Yeah, I agree.
So we are in total agreement.
It wasn't a general policy or a vague adjustment in royal protocols. It was specific, targeted, and everyone inside the palace knew who it was meant for: Meghan Markle. The palace insisted it was necessary. Meghan, on the other hand, felt it was deliberate punishment. Insiders whisper that this could be the beginning of a royal confrontation unlike anything we've seen before.
In the official statement from Buckingham Palace issued on January 18, 2020, does not distinguish between private or commercial use of the HL.
The order wasn't announced. It wasn't debated. It wasn't even written down formally. It came quietly the way all serious royal directives do. First, the senior aides were told, then the communication teams, then the royal event coordinators, and finally the office responsible for approving who gets to appear at royal adjacent functions.
Source for Royal News, and quite right, not that we're biased. Harry said in his BBC interview that he was forced to step away from royal duty due to security concerns. I thought Harry and Meghan had decided to leave royal duty before the security assessment that downgraded.
The instruction, simple yet devastating, said all public appearances involving the Duke and Duchess must be reviewed and approved at the highest level, effective immediately. But palace insiders made it clear, this wasn't about Harry. It wasn't about both of them. This was laser-focused on one person, Meghan.
Of their royal titles, the New York Post is reporting that locals in the UK say enough is enough, especially after Prince Harry's disastrous BBC interview, which aired.
Because for months, the palace had been tracking a pattern and it all led back to her. Meghan was appearing at charity events that coincidentally overlapped with royal engagements, using royal titles on event posters, and arranging high-visibility appearances just before or after major palace moments. Each time, the palace stayed silent, but the frustration grew, until finally, King Charles stepped in. One insider summed up the king's view. His Majesty believes public representation of the monarchy cannot be manipulated for personal branding. Another added, it wasn't punishment, it was a boundary. But to Meghan, boundaries that block her ambitions feel like punishment. And when the news hit Montecito, before the public even knew Meghan's reaction was nuclear, she felt blindsided. How dare he? She allegedly screamed, pacing the house, throwing her phone, her voice echoing so loud that staff reportedly stepped outside. One insider described it as rage born from humiliation. To Meghan, this wasn't just a boundary, it was a demotion. A message that said the palace no longer trusted her to appear in public unsupervised. From there, things spiraled. Meghan began blaming everyone, the palace, her team, even Harry. She said senior aides were plotting against her, trying to erase her influence. She told people, they're terrified of me, that's why they're doing this. But inside Buckingham Palace, the interpretation was very different. She accused King Charles himself of targeting her. He doesn't control me, he doesn't own me, she allegedly snapped. She saw the order as humiliation, a deliberate move to silence her and make her an example. Then came the finger-pointing. Meghan reportedly turned on her PR team, demanding to know why they hadn't warned her, why they'd let the palace win. Her team tried to calm her, but she wasn't hearing it. She believed this was a full-on attack, a plan to wipe her from royal relevance. And then came something else, fear. Because once the fury settled, the reality hit her. If the king could limit her appearances, what else could he limit? Her visibility? Her use of titles? Her control of her image? She reportedly said, if they control my appearances, they control my image. And that, according to insiders, is Meghan's deepest fear. so she turned to the one person she believed could fix it, Harry. But what happened next shocked her even more. When Meghan's meltdown reached its peak, she demanded Harry call his father. "Fix it, now," she insisted. But Harry wasn't the man who once charged into war with his family at her side. Insiders say he hesitated. He looked torn, quiet, conflicted. He knows his father has reached his limit. "My father isn't bluffing anymore," he's reportedly told a friend. Meghan saw his hesitation as betrayal. "You're letting them silence me. You're choosing them over me," she allegedly shouted. For Harry, it was agony caught between the woman he loves and the family he can't escape. But even he knew this wasn't something he could undo. He did reach out privately to the palace, not to demand reversal, but for clarity, and the response he got stunned him. The message was firm. The order stands. No negotiation, no softening, no exceptions. When Meghan heard that, her fury turned cold. The emotional outburst was over. Now, it was strategy time. And soon came the leak. Inside Buckingham Palace, there was calm. No panic, no reaction, because to them, this wasn't drama, it was procedure. But in Montecito, Meghan was already planning her next move. Within hours, someone close to her team leaked the entire story to a handful of friendly journalists. The details were precise: the order, the restriction, the supposed humiliation, but none of the context. The leaks painted Meghan as a victim of royal cruelty and the king as vindictive. It was a PR counterattack, but it backfired instantly. The British media didn't buy it. They called it a necessary boundary, a royal clampdown, the king putting his foot down. For the first time, Meghan wasn't getting sympathy, she was getting scrutiny. Australia went even harder, with one anchor saying Meghan created her own restrictions, the palace is just formalizing them. Even the American press, usually gentle with her, turned skeptical. Talk shows and podcasts asked the same question: why did the king feel the need to step in? Across Europe, headlines treated the issue as governance, not gossip. It wasn't framed as personal revenge, but as royal duty, a matter of protecting the crown's integrity. That tone hurt Meghan most. It made the entire world see the order as a rational move, not an emotional one. And on social media, a complete explosion. TikTok, YouTube, X, flooded with clips, debates, and reactions. The biggest question trending was, what was Meghan doing that forced the king to step in? That shift in perception was devastating. Suddenly, Meghan wasn't seen as the silenced victim, she was seen as the common denominator in every royal scandal. Inside the palace, King Charles remained unshaken. When told about the leak, he reportedly just said, "Of course." No anger, no frustration, because to him, the leak proved why this order was necessary. And now, the consequences are unfolding. The restriction isn't temporary, it's permanent. Every public appearance Meghan attempts that even remotely touches royal territory must now be cleared through palace channels. No surprise events, no spontaneous media stunts near royal dates, no royal-flavored branding moments. A senior aide reportedly said her days of uncontrolled public staging are over. That hits Meghan where it hurts most. Her visibility, without it, her brand weakens. Without royal shine, her influence fades. A Hollywood agent summed it up bluntly: if the palace restricts her, her value drops. Invitations will start drying up: red carpets, charity galas, panels, anything that hints at royal ties. No one wants to host someone under a royal restriction. Even media coverage will shift. Every appearance she makes will now be questioned. Did the palace approve this? Is she breaking protocol? Her image moves from glamorous and independent to restricted and monitored. And the final blow? Irrelevance. For years, Meghan believed she could control her narrative, outshine the monarchy, outbrand it, outtalk it. But now, visibility, her most powerful weapon, is slipping away. Insiders say she's entering her most dangerous phase yet: panic mixed with strategy. She's done crying, now she's planning. Expect one of three moves: a big emotional interview, a new voice-reclaiming documentary, or a complete rebrand that tries to separate her from royal identity entirely. But no matter what she does, the palace won't flinch this time. Because the king has made it clear, this wasn't about punishment, it was about principle. You can't walk away from the monarchy and walk back whenever it benefits you. For the first time, King Charles has shown he's willing to act decisively even if it means cutting off his own son's wife. And that's why Meghan truly lost it. Not because of the order itself, but because she finally realized what the world is now seeing. The monarchy has moved on, and this time, it isn't looking back. And the story doesn't end there, because what happened after the leak might just be the most dramatic twist yet. Inside Montecito, the tension was unbearable. Meghan couldn't sleep, pacing through the hallways late into the night, replaying every headline, every quote, every post that seemed to mock her. She kept saying to her team, "They've trapped me. They've turned the world against me." Her inner circle tried to console her. But Meghan isn't someone who accepts defeat quietly. She was already planning her next move. Those closest to her say she became obsessed with taking back control. "If they control my image, I'll change the narrative," she told a friend. And that's when she started calling her most trusted media contacts, people who had stood by her through every royal scandal. One insider claimed Meghan's idea was to craft an emotional story about her being silenced, a woman trying to speak her truth against an ancient institution. She wanted the world to feel sympathy again, to remember the Meghan they fell in love with. But the problem was, this time the public mood had changed. British tabloids were merciless. American journalists, once her biggest supporters, were now questioning her credibility. And the palace wasn't saying a word. That silence was powerful. For the first time, Meghan's words were echoing into a void. There was no back-and-forth feud, no rebuttal, just the sound of her own outrage bouncing back at her. Harry, meanwhile, was caught in the middle. Insiders say he was torn between protecting his wife and avoiding another explosive clash with his family. He tried quietly reaching out to his father again, but this time, the response came through an intermediary. "The matter is closed." That phrase, so cold and final, reportedly left Harry shaken. "It's done," he told Meghan. "You can't change it." That was the moment she realized she had lost not just her place in the royal system, but her last thread of influence inside it. Still, Meghan wasn't done fighting. She began discussing new strategies, podcast appearances, philanthropic events, maybe even a tell-all special that would expose how deeply the monarchy controls women who leave. But even within her team, there was hesitation. Brand partners were quietly backing away. Invitations dried up. "She was furious," one insider said. She thought people were cowards for distancing themselves, but in truth, everyone was afraid of being caught in a royal crossfire, and in the background, the palace moved on as if nothing had happened. Senior courtiers went back to their schedules. The king resumed his engagements, and not a single public word was spoken about Meghan's meltdown. That silence felt like the ultimate punishment. Friends say Meghan started realizing the terrifying truth: this wasn't just a temporary storm, this was permanent. The king's directive wasn't a slap on the wrist, it was the closing of a door that might never reopen. For a woman whose entire career now revolved around visibility, influence, and public image, that realization hit harder than any headline. She reportedly told a confidant, "They think they've ended me, but they're wrong." Whether that's determination or denial, nobody knows. But one thing is certain, the monarchy has finally drawn a line, and Meghan's world will never look the same again.